He decided to be a voice for the common man. And he builds the most popular show in cable news by far. And he's being run out of corporate media. That says something about what they think about the common man. I still don't know where I land on whether this is a good day or a bad day for those of us fighting to restore America to sanity. I don't know how I feel about that. I think I probably lean towards good because I think we need this draining of the swamp. And I think Fox News is part of that swamp. And I think them parting ways with Tucker Carlson and not being able to support Tucker Carlson fully identifies them as part of the swamp that needs to be drained. I think they had been getting away with the crap they pulled on 2020 on election night. I think they had been getting away with that, and now they no longer can. I think that everything over at Fox News, all brands have been damaged with this departure of Tucker Carlson. How does the guy running the most popular show on cable news, not the second, third, not the fifth, the most popular show on cable news, get run out or get to a point where he has to part ways with the television network, and he's the only guy with a brand connected to the people? I've been fascinated by Tucker Carlson, a kid that comes from a man that comes from significant wealth in comparison to most people. You know, private school educated, started out on TV wearing a bow tie, looked like the typical elite. How did he become the voice of the people? I had this conversation with Tucker at dinner a year and a half ago, maybe. Like, dude, how did you become the voice of the people? How did someone like me, whose parents were factory workers, whose background and mentality is working class, how did you become my voice? How did you become the voice of the MAGA people that, to me, are very similar to the way that I grew up? You know, my existence was black and working class. And I look at the MAGA people and I see the similarities between those two groups. And I'm like, how does Tucker Carlson sell out and become their voice, the voice of the people? He doesn't fit the profile for that existence. He has a better chance based on his background of being Chris Hayes. You know, Chris on MSNBC. It's a fascinating journey that Tucker has been on, and he's played an important role. And so now within corporate media, MAGA, working class people, have no voice, none at all. Years ago, MSNBC had a guy named Ed Schultz. You guys remember Ed, the Ed Show? I can't remember what Ed Schultz's show was called, but it was on MSNBC. And I was attracted to that show. I watched that show. That was my favorite show on MSNBC. And it's not because I agreed with everything Ed Schultz said. He sounded like me. He represented the working class. He was a former college football player, I believe, and he didn't try to kill you with all these words. You needed to go to a dictionary or a thesaurus to figure out what he was saying. He spoke for the working class. He spoke for factory workers. He spoke for union workers. I loved his show. And he got run off at MSNBC. And MSNBC hasn't had anyone that looks like him since. They've had a bunch of nerdy geeks and a bunch of elites that I would never have a beer with. Not that I drink beer, but people that I would never really socialize. We wouldn't play spades or bid whist or euchre together. I'm not even sure if the people on MSNBC know what euchre is. You know, again, some of the black elites, they know what spades is, but they don't know what bid whist is. Bid whist is like what we really play. That the spades, anyway. They don't have any common people. And everything that I've been saying and we've been trying to point out on this show, that there's this separation, there's these elites, and then there's everybody else. And that the elites are trying to set up one world and a set of rules that work for them while sending out all of these fake people. Oh, LeBron James, he speaks for you, the common man. LeBron James has been uncommon since about age 8 or 9. Once all that talent was discovered in him, he became an elite, and he was treated like an elite ever since he was 8 or 9 years old. That's a fact. There are idiots who think, oh, LeBron grew up hard in the ghetto and he's just like me. No, he's not. You guys don't even understand these athletes, particularly basketball players, but it's across the board, football as well. These are elite organizations for the genetically gifted. As it relates to basketball, you have to be about 6'5" or 6'6" to even have a chance. You know what a small percentage of people, this isn't the hard, the guys you're seeing in the NBA and even on college basketball teams, they're not the hardest working guys at your school. They're the tallest. They're the most athletically gifted from the womb. You think LeBron was doing stretching exercises to get to 6'9"? He's an elite. And ever since 3rd or 4th grade, when he was the tallest kid in his class, he was treated as such. There were coaches and other people kissing his rear end and doing everything they could to develop his athletic skills so they could get him to the finish line, get him to the NBA, and make money off of him. And so the common man has no voice in American media. And my whole reason for getting involved in journalism was to be a voice for the common man. And Tucker Carlson, despite a completely different background than me and looking like an elite, sounding like an elite, he decided to be a voice for the common man. And he builds the most popular show in cable news by far. And he's being run out of corporate media. That says something about what they think about the common man. That even an elite like Tucker Carlson will not be tolerated if he decides to be a voice for the common man. Like what you saw? Hit that like button, subscribe, and check out the full episode by clicking the link below.